So let's talk a bit about this. So in order to understand revolution, any fundamental change, we need to have some sort of a theory of change. How does change occurs? And type of changes, I guess. And change within system, change from outside the system, and even within system you can have a fundamental change and ordinary change, I guess. So fundamental change can be, termed as a revolution within a system, I guess. And this is, real revolution in the sense as one system is replaced by another system. So how does the change occur? So he's pointing to something fundamental here, but although I think he's missing something fundamental, so we'll look at that. So let's see what he's talking about first, and then you have to add something to it. We will do that. So he's making this distinction between installing a system, a new system of rule, obviously in place of a already existing system of rules. So before neoliberalism, you had what we can call welfare capitalism or social democratic capitalism, in which capital was a partner with the state and labor unions. So this is still capitalism, but there's a limit on the working of capitalism. It has to work with other partners. But the neoliberal system can be described at the moment when capital actually captures the state and then overwhelm the labor union in its power, and basically put huge limits on it and disintegrate it, or and make it subservient to the logic of capital. So that's a neoliberal system. So that's a system which was installed. So what were we talking about? Distinction between installing a new system, and then once that new system is installed, how that new system works. That's the distinction he's making, and I think that's a valid distinction. The basic distinction between how a system is installed, and that requires a process which may take decades and centuries, and an event when this actually happens. And that event can be violent, and the process can be violent as well. But there's another thing, which is once that system has come into existence, how it works. So what's now how it works will depend on, obviously, after it is installed, it can also continue to face resistance from the erstwhile system and remnants of the erstwhile system. So that depends on the strength of the revolution, etc. But once it has established, how it works is different. You need internal mechanism, internal rationality, and its internalization by critical mass of elite, etc. So these are two different. So installation of neoliberalism might have accompanied by violence, and also its early phase might have been accompanied by violence or repression of some sort. But obviously, that violence and repression is faced only by those people who are opposing that system, there are always a lot of people who are for the new system, so they are not experiencing that violence and repression. Um, and once a new system is stabilized, then how it works is different. So that there are people who are still going to face repression and all that, but once the system has strengthened, it doesn't need to repress, use violence as much as or it had to use when it came into being, because its internal strength allows it to, firstly the opposition has weakened, secondly it has a strength in itself and it has power, so now it can allow some form of managed opposition, etc. It doesn't have to use naked repression that often or that much. That will vary obviously empirically depending on the strength of a system, its modus operandi and all those things. Okay, so let's read it again. Anyone wishing to install a new system rule needs to overcome opposition. This likewise applies to the new liberal system of rule. An establishing power is needed in order to set up a new system of rule, and this often entails violence. That establishing power is not, however, that establishing power, however, is not identical with power that stabilizes it, internal power of a system, the system of the inside, on the inside. That will depend on its internal mechanism as well as inculcation of a new rationality among